Hey everyone, this is Pig for Life, and today's review is a special early look at Unique Toys O-01 Troll, their version of Blot from the Terrorcons. I want to thank both Unique Toys and Toy Dojo for giving me the opportunity to do this review. And with that, I just want to do one more disclaimer that this is a test shot. And that means that it's not a final production version, and there are probably going to be some improvements like tolerances, some paint apps, and some other minor changes that will probably happen before this guy is finally released. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and get started with robot mode review. And just a little bit of history, Troll is one of the 5 members of Unique Toys Orden who is their version of Abominus, and Abominus is one of my favorite combiners, probably only behind Devastator and Predaking. So when this guy was announced, I was super excited. So with this test shot, I did get the figure itself and his foot attachment. So a lot of fans might be disappointed that he is a foot and it's not a Scramble City setup like the original G1 toy. And normally Blot or Troll would make up an arm, typically I believe the right arm of Abominus, but in this case he is a foot, so I know people are going to be disappointed. That is kind of a more G1 take on him. So we did take a look at everything on this guy as far as the 360 view, and let's go ahead and zoom in on his head and see what his space sculpt looks like. So as you can see, he looks really good. The head sculpt is really quite nice. You can see it's a nice red eyes, red visor. And if you look really closely, and you may or may not be able to see it in this video, is he actually has some molded in fangs at the top and bottom, which is cool. It does kind of tie back to the monstrous Terrorcon look that all the Terrorcons have. So very nice. I like it a lot. It does actually kind of remind me of Trailbreaker though, just the visor and just the overall sculpt. But yeah, that's the head sculpt. Let's go ahead and get into articulation really quickly. And his head is on a ball joint. So he does have a little bit of motion, not a ton, but he can bobble his head. He doesn't get a lot of up or down. His head is on a panel that is for transformation purposes, but if you want to use that to supplement his head articulation, you can. As far as arms, he does have 360 degrees there. He has nice shoulder movement, like even higher than 90 degrees. He does have a really tight bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. And then he does have wrist articulation, so his wrist is on a swivel, and it can come down just a little bit just because it does tuck away for transformation. He doesn't have a traditional waist swivel in the sense he doesn't have it where you would imagine it to be up here. It's actually down here near the crotch, but that's great that he still does have it. He can't swivel up here just because of the way transformation is. He does have really soft ratchets, like you can feel them, but they're really soft. You can't really hear them, and he can go out all the way, like doing the splits. He does have knee articulation here, above the knee or bottom of the thigh. Nice knee bends. You can actually unpeg his knee here too to get some extra like double jointed knee action if you want, but you really don't need it. And then down at the bottom he does have kind of toe articulation here, and it's on a hinge that can allow you to kind of tippy toe. And one thing on the back is he does have nice heels that fold out. I don't think he really needs them, but if you do want them, they are here, but they can tuck away underneath and be hidden. I like them more hidden like that. And that's really it for articulation. Alright. I did want to go really quickly and do some accessory review. So he does come with this foot. Okay. And it does have these side pieces that are really tightly fit in. That's one thing about the test shot that I will mention, is that the tolerances are kind of weird. Like some of the holes are really nice and tight like these, while some of them are really loose. So what you can do with these side pieces is that you can actually come in here and fold these out, and they form kind of blasters or guns. And you can even extend this silver part a little bit, like so. And you can use them as traditional guns if you'd like in his hands, or you can use the plethora of peg holes everywhere, like on the side here if you want to do that, or on his shoulders if you want to do that, the sides of his arms. Like, he just has a ton of peg holes in a lot of places, so there are a lot of options for him. One of the things I like to do is make use of his foot, and to make use of his foot in robot mode is that this toe piece actually opens up. You can move this to the side, this ankle piece, and then he has kind of a missile array, which is really, really cool. So in addition to those peg holes on the side cannons, he actually has kind of like these weird universal peg holes and pegs. So these are peg holes here, but if you can actually swivel them out, if you can reach in there, and they become pegs. And again, you can use those in a wide variety of ways with the different peg holes. So my current favorite setup is to actually bring these back and put them on the side here. If I can get them to fit in. Again, very tight, which is really nice on these, but actually might be a little too tight. So I like to do this kind of setup, and I make use of the holes, the hole in the shoulder with the peg. And then I'd like to actually turn his hand kind of inward, so his knuckles are up, and then peg it in so he's holding it that way. And then he has like a really cool kind of, he has a really cool kind of shield slash missile launcher weapon on his arm, and I think that looks really cool. So yeah, you can see it pretty well here. But I think that looks really cool because then he has guns, and he has the missile array, and he has a shield all in one. And I just love that. But again, there's going to be tons of different things you can do with the accessories. It really just depends on your imagination. But overall, this guy's really impressive. I like the overall look. One thing I will comment on that a lot of people have said who've reviewed this figure already is that Unique Toys has done a really good job with this guy. His plastic quality is really top notch. A lot of reviewers who have this figure already have said that Unique Toys has really outdone themselves time and time again, and have improved upon every figure, and I have to really wholeheartedly agree. They have done an excellent job on this guy. The plastic quality is really tough. I would say very close to what you would come to expect from MMC. I think this just toughness of this plastic is really similar to their plastic. Okay, so I'm going to show a couple of comparisons real quick in robot mode. The first one I'll do is another Unique Toys figure, which is their Mania King, or their Galvatron. And you can see they're pretty similar in height. Mania King is a little bit taller, but I don't actually think these guys scale particularly well together. I would imagine Galvatron being a good deal taller than any of the Terrorcons, especially the Legbot. Okay. But again, the quality here in this plastic was always pretty good on my last review, but this guy just feels much more substantial. All right. Bringing in another combiner. Here is Bovis from MMC's Predacons. And again, these guys look pretty good together. Fortis's head is a bit bigger and they're a little bit taller, but I think the scales really well together. And one thing I wanted to point out, people are talking about the comparisons and just the look and style. One of the things I wanted to point out is if you look at the hands, actually, they're really similar in style, like eerily similar. And I know a lot of companies, third-party companies, share designers, or designers are independent, and overall, I just look at this guy and say that there's a lot of similarities, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was the same designer between these two sets. Alright. Well, that's it for kind of comparisons. I did want to go ahead and transform him partially, so a lot of people have been doing fan modes that you can do kind of a partial transformation for this guy. So let's go ahead and show that off real quick, since it's gonna take us on the way to full transformation anyway. So what you have to do to get this guy partially transformed is to tuck in the hands. They just go right into a slot in the bottom. I'm really disappointed about that. That's another similarity that they have with MMC's Feral Rex figures, is that it's so easy just to add a panel and a pin here. And I think it's lazy when companies don't do that anymore, especially for, you know, this figure is I think 100, 105, 110 bucks. I think that's pretty lazy. So you tuck that in. You want to curl the arms up like so, and then the shoulders are actually on a panel that pegs in. So you want to release that and open these arms up like so. Okay. Then we're gonna come around back, and this backpack here is his arms for alt mode. So you want to untab them, and then you're going to want to bring them downward like so. Okay. And this is where it gets kind of interesting. You're going to open up this panel here. You're going to rotate this around and turn it 90 degrees so that this blue weird tab piece actually fits into this opening here. And then close it up. It's the same thing on the other side. Just open up the panel, rotate this around, rotate this 90 degrees so the blue tab comes out of the slot, and close it up. And with that, you can bring these arms, shoulders back around, and you have a partially transformed Blot. So he has kind of monster arms if you want to do a partial transformation. And he looks really good in this mode too. People complain about this kind of kibble-ish stuff. You can actually use the bicep swivel and turn it around, and then those are hidden. You get a little bit less elbow movement on the arms in this case, but it still looks really good. And you can, the wrists are on set on a swivel as well, and each finger is on a ball joint, so you get a lot of great articulation. So you can point a bit, and he has kind of this monstrous look to him, and I like it. I dig it. I like that you have this option. Alright. Another thing you can do to go kind of a step further, but still be kind of a hybrid, is you can pull up the chest piece here, which is Blot's alt mode head, and then you actually pull down just the front part of the head. It's hard to describe, but there's another part here that opens up, and then you fold in the head and close it up, and then you have even a more like partially transformed Blot, and this looks pretty good too. Kind of goofy, but still pretty cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into full alt mode transformation instead of playing around too much. The next thing we're going to do, since you already have the upper parts done, I'm just going to get the arms out of the way, and then we can deal with the rest. So the next thing you're going to do is deal with this weird waist piece, which is actually pretty cool. So you're going to unpeg the crotch, which has a big peg here, and pull it back like so. Okay? Then you're going to want to pull this panel down, which makes the crotch piece for the alt mode. And there's two kind of side pieces, kind of oblique pieces that you fold up on each side. Alright, and his upper body's pretty much done. So his lower body is really kind of confusing, and I'm going to try not to mess up. So the first thing we'll do is, after we've already unpegged it like so, we're going to rotate this around. Okay? And you would think that you would peg it back down, but you don't. You leave it like so. Then we're going to deal with his alt mode legs. So his alt mode legs you need to pull out from the side of the robot legs. And then they're on a panel that rotates down. So this panel here, it rotates out from this gap here, area here, and you're gonna rotate all the way out like so. Okay. The next thing you're gonna do is deal with these legs. You're gonna want to pull on these and get straightened that out, and then twist this heel or toe. They're both one piece. It's a pass-through piece, and then you can see his legs starting to form. So same thing on the other side. Rotate pull the leg out, rotate it down on this piece here, and rotate. Okay. You're going to stretch out the leg, and then rotate the toe and heel piece. Alright. So now it gets even more confusing. Let's get these arms down. What you have to do is basically rotate these legs up and then rotate them like so. And what you're going to do is fold these down and fill in the leg in and up on itself. So to do that, you want to unpeg this knee piece that we showed earlier, and you're going to kind of use the double bend that you get out of that to bring in the leg. So it should kind of like collapse in on itself like so. Okay? So again, untab this piece, rotate the leg up and out, and collapse in on itself. And again, you're going to want to make use of that other joint that you released to bend all the way in. Alright, so now it gets kind of confusing. So you had these hinge pieces that went all the way, kind of black hinge pieces that kind of went all the way down like so. They have two peg holes that have corresponding holes in the crotch piece, and it's kind of hard to like kind of navigate those in because you have to fold in these legs first to make sure they're nice and secure. One thing I forgot to do actually was you got to bring in these gray pieces down. Sorry, I should have shown that earlier. You have to just slide those down, the side pieces, and that allows you to peg in these legs. They have a peg hole here and the peg here, so those all peg in. There we go. Okay, and then once you have that done, you can peg in these peg holes into the crotch plate. And sometimes they're a little hard to get. Oh, that time it was pretty easy. And with that, you have Troll in alt mode. Let's get the camera down a little bit since he's a little more squat. The last thing is, I forgot, you have to bring these kind of toe pieces straight down on that hinge, and they just kind of clean up the backpack a bit. But yeah, that's Troll. And you can get them kind of in a four-legged mode if you want to use that, or you can have them kind of stand up straight. So a lot of options, and even though this guy looks really top heavy, his feet, because of the way they're designed and that they're so long, they do a really good job balancing, and his knees are really nicely ratcheted, so you get a lot of stronghold from him. You can do a lot of dynamic poses. But he looks awesome in this mode as well. I love the colors that they use. So he was traditionally kind of a dark blue, like here, but then I love the use of the purple. I think it really matches really well. And then you have some gray silver accents. But you do see a little bit of red and in the eyes and these accents here. They're used only very sparsely, but I love how they make the figure pop. So again, the same kind of arm articulation, you can go 360. You got to be careful because there is some interference with the backpack here, so you can't get a lot of backwards movement, and when you turn you just have to be careful. But you still have that bicep swivel and those elbows that you can bend. And again, if you want some more, you can turn it around and have the kibbly elbows that give you a little bit more bend if you want to do that. His fingers that we talked about a little bit earlier are on nice ball joints, so there's 3 ball joints, and you can do a bit with them. And then again, this whole hand kind of claw piece is on a swivel. His legs do have some limited movement just because of all the backpack and the crotch piece, but it is on a nice ball joint, nice big ball joint, so you can get a lot of movement. Like you can get them kind of up like this if you want. You can get them all the way back, and again, the knees can ratchet kind of like chicken legs, or you can have them like traditional knees as well, because they do bend really far back. And we talked about his ankle earlier. So his ankle's on a hinge here, but it also has some tilting because the toe and the heel are one piece and they swivel together. So you get a lot of great posability with this guy. I like him a lot in this mode. Bringing in his accessories again, you can do a lot with them. You can again move them on the arms if you want, like so, on the shoulders, I believe. Yeah, these shoulders pegs work too. There's a number of different slots on the back, and what I've seen most people do and what I like to do is make use of the peg hole here and the peg here and peg that in, and he kind of has a missile ray shoulder cannon. Let's scoot this up just a little bit. And if you remember the G1 figure in the comics and toys, that he actually had kind of a gun that was off-centered, just like on one side, that came up, and it was more like a gun, not a missile array. But I love that you still have the option. And again, you can peg these in on the sides here if you want, or like so, and still have kind of that gun look that he had with the G1 figure and toy. So very, very cool that you have options. And you can close it up and just straighten it out if you want, and just have guns like these if you want to do that as well. So I love the diversity that you get out of this, out of these accessories. As far as articulation on the head, you don't get much. You get a little bit of up. You get down. That's really about it. You do get some hollowness here. I will comment on that. We saw it in the robot mode. The legs were hollow. This time you have kind of the hollow. Oops, this came unpegged. The hollow crotch. A little bit of hollowness in the thighs, not much, and then you get the kibble here and some hollowness here. You do get hollowness in the backpack, middle of the backpack, but I don't think it's a big deal. And some people are complaining about the combiner port, which this is the square piece. It doesn't bother me because it's black and it blends in pretty well. What does bother me is from the front view you have of this entire hollowed out piece here, and if you actually drop something in here, the combiner port actually comes out the chest, kind of like a little slide. And then lastly, you do kind of see the robot mode head hiding underneath the chin. So you can't open his mouth or anything like that since it's hiding in there. So there's definitely compromises that you made, but the transformation is really fun for this guy. It's a little complicated the first couple times you do it, but it's really, really quite fun, and I like it, especially with the ability to do those partial transformations. Okay? And the last thing I'm going to show off is his alt mode, leg mode. So I don't usually do this for combiners, but since this is test shot, I do want to show off all the features. So to do the transformation here, it's kind of a in-between the robot and alt mode. So go ahead and unpeg the backpack real quick, and then also unpeg the crotch piece. And you're going to get the lower body to kind of look like the robot mode. So extend these legs out, and then bring them down, and you're going to peg in that crotch piece and straighten the legs out. But what you're going to do at the front here is you're going to kind of make the legs back into robot mode legs. So go ahead and tuck in this black panel to get the legs situated correctly, and then rotate the toe piece and heel piece again, collapse that with the knee joint all the way back down, and then make use of this peg and the peg hole here to get it back into the way it was in robot mode. So very similar, okay? So let's show that again. Go ahead and peg the knee in as well. Oh, well, actually no, sorry, don't peg the knee in. I apologize. So go ahead and put this black piece straight, rotate that up, rotate the toes and the heel, collapse it all in on itself, and then make use of that peg hole, slide that in. Okay? So from here, this is where it gets a little bit different. Basically, you want to rotate at the lower joint here and rotate that up. Okay? And before you actually finish that up, you want to go into the bottom of the crotch piece, and Pyog showed this to me. I would never have figured this out without instructions. And this little piece rotates down, and he figured out that what that does is help stabilize the leg mode. There are corresponding slots on the inside of these legs. So what you do is make use of that. And it's a little difficult just because of where it is and how small it is, but just kind of tab in one side. Before we get too far, let's go ahead and make the foot, because we do need that to get a little bit further. So push these barrels back in and pull these back. Okay, plug these into the sides like so. Rotate the ankle piece. Okay, so here's the foot. I'm trying to do this, so let's again show that. Come on, there we go. Let's try it again. Plug in this half. This half is always kind of tough for me, so it's actually good that I started with this side. There we go. All right, let's see if we can do it this time. There we go. I think we got it. Maybe, yes. There we go. Okay. Phew. All right, so the other things you need to finish up is this crotch piece does actually have tabs and slots that peg in here. And with these feet, you want to rotate them down and then flip them up. So rotate them on the hinge and flip them up. There you go. Rotate the alt mode head down. And what you want to do with these pieces of the arms is you basically just rotate them around like so. Okay, and then you want to rotate the arms out and then tab them together with those same tabs and peg holes. And then they don't actually sit anywhere or peg in, but these two pieces here, they can kind of sit in that gap here. So if you want to do that, you can do that. And then make use of the hand swivels to do whatever you want with the bottom here. But yeah, that's basically it. Okay, so that's the transformation into leg mode, combiner mode. And it's not Scramble City, I'll say that again. And I wanted to bring in Fortis from MMC to kind of give you an idea, because they've done some comparisons on how they look. Okay, so they're very similar looking, but actually this is a little bit taller to the top of the combiner port. And this one's a little bit more streamlined, less like cankles. I will say that the feet are much smaller on Wardens or Trolls. You can see how much smaller it is. And even in terms of width, which is going to be hard to show, but even in terms of width, it's more narrow. But the biggest concern I have with Orden is that MMC has like a ball joint, so you get a lot of omnidirectional posability. With Troll, you really only have back and forth on the side to side. That's it. You do have the toe articulation, no heel, but without being able to bend this forward, I'm concerned that he's going to have very limited posability in robot mode. So as far as final thoughts, I do want to thank Toy Dojo and Unique Toys for allowing me to review this figure early, this test shot. I do have a lot of praise for this figure in terms of plastic quality, in terms of cool transformation, cool and fun transformation, those kind of mixed transformations that they have, as well as both modes look really good, much less compromised than what I would be used to from a combiner, but really nice overall. Again, the complaints I probably will have, or concerns, I'll say concerns, not complaints, is that in combine mode, which I always display my combiners in combine mode and not as individual, is the lack of any kind of articulation aside from the side to side. No forward. It makes me very concerned. And also, this is kind of loose already. Makes me a little concerned. But yeah, overall, this guy is definitely the best effort from Unique Toys thus far. Great plastic quality, great transformation, great overall look, love the colors. I'm really excited. I was not considering even getting this guy just because I didn't think Unique Toys could really handle it based on what I had reviewed of their previous figures, but they've improved again and again and again. So I might actually pick up this guy for my own personal collection, if nothing from TFCon changes my mind. But yeah, I think I give a recommendation to buy if you're okay with the price. But go ahead, if you're interested, go ahead and click on the description, the link below, to pick one up at Toy Dojo for pre-order. And this guy should be coming out pretty soon. Alright, if you guys have any questions, leave some comments. Otherwise, please like and subscribe. And I think that's all for today. Thanks everyone. Have a good one.